Hello, welcome everyone. Good evening or good morning, wherever you happen to be in the world. I'm Jeff Affleck, and with me today is Chris Kyle.
Hello, everyone.
We're here for the masterclass today, the 4 essential elements for launching transformative and lucrative online courses. We're glad that you're here. Just to help us out, we want to make sure that our technology is working. If you could type in the chat just where you're from, that would be just awesome. We've been running a few of these webinars over the last few days and have had people from all over the world, North America, Europe, Australia, Asia. So we are curious about where you're from. If you could do that, we'd appreciate it. And while you're doing that, Chris has just typed in, he's from San Francisco. There is a little bit of a delay on the webinar for us to receive your chats, just to be aware of that. So I'm Jeff Affleck. I'm Chris's business partner, friend, and also faculty for Launch Academy, which you'll hear a bit more about later on today. And in case you don't know Chris all that well, you're new to his world, I'd like to tell you a little bit about him and welcome Kathy from Nova Scotia. That's great. You're on the other side of Canada for me. I am on Vancouver Island. Let me tell you a little bit about Chris, and then I'll turn it over to him to dive right into the content today. Chris is a teacher, a speaker, a business coach, and of course an e-learning expert. And he helps authors, entrepreneurs, change agents like you who have a message to share to really light up the world with your message. And he's also the founder of Launch Academy, which is an online program that teaches participants how to build and launch. So the 2 components, build and launch, transformative and lucrative online courses. I like to say that Chris is a player coach. Not only does he teach people how to create courses, he creates and launches them himself. A couple of examples, the Power of Purpose Global Summit, which had over 14,000 participants from 85 countries. He also was involved with the Man on Purpose 7-week online course and the Conscious Men's Summit with John Gray, the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Chris is also an author of a couple of ebooks, the 5 things you need to know to create a successful online course, and the Purpose Activation Blueprint. He's worked with a number of really well-known teachers that you've probably heard of. A couple of these are household names. Neil Donald Walsh, the author of Conversations with God, Gene Houston, Ariel Ford, and the list goes on. So you're in good hands with Chris today. He really knows his stuff, as you're going to find out. So once again, a warm welcome to you, and welcome special to Robert, Chris's neighbor from California. That's cool. Nice. Always nice to have your neighbors on a global webinar.
Great.
So thanks, Chris. Over to you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for the great introduction. Welcome, everybody. It's great to be here with you for this special masterclass. It's a new one that I've created just recently, so I'm super excited to share with you sort of what I've learned along the way, through hard-earned experience, etc. So we're gonna dive in. I'm gonna pull up the slide presentation here. We'll get started. So there you go, the title of the masterclass today, and we are going to be diving into the 4 essential elements for launching online courses, and we're also going to talk about some other stuff, including Launch Academy. So certainly, by all means, if you have a pen and a piece of paper or a pad near you for taking notes, that would be great. Some of you, if you're online, you might just be typing into a Word doc or notes on your computer. But I encourage you to be tracking and writing down some questions along the way, because we're going to have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, and we'll answer as many questions that are here. All right, so what I'd like to start with is the what ifs. Basically, it's what I perceive as your what ifs. So what if you could reach a bigger audience, a global audience, with your expertise and knowledge? What would that be like? What would that be like? And what if you could have a much bigger impact with your teachings, your content, or your expertise? How would that feel to have a group of people like this, or a group 10 times this size, saying, "You changed my life. I'm doing what I love. I feel more alive. Wow, what an amazing course and experience." Because that's what it's like. That's what it's like to have people from all over the world that have come in to your experience, to your course, and you are having a bigger impact on their life. And what if You could also increase your income substantially from your teaching. So those are some really juicy what ifs, and just that you may be already feeling into those what ifs. You may be already aware of them. But I'd also ask this, there might be a part of you also saying to yourself, and it's possible, it's the inner game of the work we do, that, oh, that's not really possible for me. Or, nah, that's too far-fetched. And I'm saying, no, if you said yes to any of those, and I'm sure you're here for a reason because you already are feeling the pull or the call. And if you're saying a yes to those what ifs, then it is absolutely time to create your online course or courses. And so that's what Masterclass is all about. I hope that part of you is coming to this place in your own life to say it's time. So let's talk a little bit about the online learning space. I just want to kind of do what I consider a little past, present, and we'll talk a little bit about the future. But online learning in the past, 3 key things that I say that really defines it. And this is like, we'll call it 6, 7, 8 years ago. You know, I mean, it's not like last year, but very recent still. This isn't like 20. We're not saying 20 years ago. We are saying so much has changed in just 5, 7, 8 years that what it was just back then, the past, was that online learning experiences were, I would say, boring, because I was a part of some of those experiences that had really clunky technology and had very poor results for the people that were in the experience. And if any of you can remember back to those times of taking any kind of experience that was online, most of it was on the phone. So like what you see right here is, it really felt back then, it was like, let's get a couple of cans and a string, and then maybe a few more cans and a few more strings, and let's string them together and let's put on a teleseminar. And so I remember doing some teleseminars back in the day with some great teachers, but you just dialed into a phone number. There was kind of a, maybe crappy audio, if you would. And then the teacher or whoever was sharing was just going on and on and on. And the whole 45 minutes or an hour was just talking at you. Like they didn't even have an opportunity like we just did to, hey, where are you from? And, oh, do the chat. And, Jeff and I on video chatting with each other. So there was none of that. We had no video conferencing. Facebook was just barely out, if at all. So there's no social media, very little in the way of technology other than audio technology to run a course. And even like the websites and the way people organize their materials and stuff, it was just like really old school, really, really poor kind of experience. So many of you, why I say this is some of you may have a memory of those days, or even something more recently that wasn't a good experience. And it might have turned you off to saying, well, online learning is really not my thing, or God, the experience I had was pretty bad. Well, what I want to tell you now, and I think many of you know it just from the experience of probably being in other programs or courses or on webinars like this or other masterclass, is that online learning today is completely changed. And I would say changed dramatically in just the last 4 or 5 years, not 7 or 8 years. So some of the things that I think are important to note here are some stats or some data to let you know about the marketplace for e-learning or online learning. And in 2015, a study showed that the e-learning market was $107 billion and growing fast. All that means for you, and why I put that in there, is to show you that it's an incredibly big space. It's growing, and that means more and more people, more and more learners are willing to engage in the online learning experience, especially as technologies get better. And then another study said by 2019, at least 50% of all classes will be delivered online. And that's everything. That's secondary education, college, university, corporate, personal development, all the space where there's opportunity for people to learn. 50% of all classes will be delivered online. And much of that is really, just to let you know, is really more of the introductory courses, I call them 101 courses, that first level of learning. More and more and more of those programs are going online. Obviously, other more deeper dive programs and more advanced programs, a lot of that is more in person. But even that's changing, where you're seeing a blended learning model, where there's both online and in person. And then the other thing that is really important to note is that there is an incredible growth of e-learning and online marketing technologies. Just like every day, every month, it seems like there's something new that's really great. And that makes it much, much easier to create and launch online courses. And a lot of these technologies that are out there, especially for small businesses or individual teachers, what's really great about them is that the price is also coming down. So it's much more affordable to have a few technologies that you put together to be able to launch your course. So like right now, for example, we're using Webinar Jam. This is Webinar Jam, but I love Zoom as well. I love Maestro Conference as ways to interact and engage with your participants, whether it's in a masterclass, a webinar, or on your online course. So a lot of cool things happening today. And so the experience, if you haven't been in a really well-crafted online course recently, then I think you'd be surprised that it's a pretty amazing experience, and students will come away kind of raving fans of, wow, that was great, amazing. So I have two questions for you. We can use the chat for this, and just go ahead. There is a little lag time. There's a delay in getting to you, so we'll wait a bit. But the first question that I'd love you to type into the chat area, poll question number 1, is what is your primary reason for wanting to create and launch an online course? And just type your response into the chat area. And for me, this is really to reflect, again, an engagement tool where I want to hear from you. I want to learn. I want to be able to see what you're sitting with right now in this webinar. And so if you go ahead and put that in now, that would be great. And then I have a second question for you too, after I hear from a few of you folks. And when you do polling like this, or when you engage your audience right out of the gate, what happens also when you're doing either a masterclass or a webinar like I'm doing here, or it's for your course, one of the things that's happening is that you're getting people used to the idea that they need to be present and connected, and oh, whoops, I'm here, I'm going to be asked something and I need to respond to it. So go ahead and type in. We have Kathy and Robert and a few other people, so just put in your response. And then, great, Robert, deliver content effectively to clients who cannot afford higher end programs. Awesome. That is a great reason and want. And so just see if there's a couple more that come in here. And some of you may be on different platforms and on your iPad or on something else, even your iPhone. So you may not be able to type it in. So go ahead and keep typing in what's your primary reason for wanting to create a course. And we'll go to poll question number 2. And then go ahead and also type this into the chat. What is your perceived or real number 1 challenge around creating and launching an online course? Okay, what you believe is your number 1 challenge. Why I say perceived is if you've never created an online course, then it's kind of what your perception is. Oh gosh, the technology, or it's too much, or I don't know how to find my right audience. Or if you've actually dabbled at it and tried creating some online courses, you may have remembered your real challenge that you had. Thank you, Kathy. It's to share what I have learned through experience and demonstrate examples. Awesome for your reason why. And I'm sure you guys will have your challenge question coming in shortly. And because there's just a little lag in that. And then I am a total technological dinosaur, really. Thank you, Kathy. I think a lot of people that come into this space many of them that I know are that as well. The real deal teachers that have been working with people or have a coaching practice or writing. I think the technology can be daunting. Robert, also tech learning curve and time necessary to create the course. Absolutely. So the big challenges that I hear out there from a lot of potential course creators, teachers, authors, experts that want to get into the online learning arena, the biggest one I hear constantly is technology, all of the technology. What do I need to do and how do I put this together? And there's so many different tech platforms out there. So that's big. The other big one that I hear a ton around challenges is that how do I market, my program, or find the right people for my program? So, those are kind of feels like the two big ones. And then a lot of people just say the overall challenge is it feels overwhelming. All the pieces, how to put it all together, where do I start? That kind of thing. So thank you for your comments, folks. And then I'm just going to share a bit of my story just to give you just a little bit of background on me. And partly I do this because I really want to share my story as somebody who is been in your shoes, absolutely, thinking about moving into the online learning arena, wanting to create an online course. And then the other side of it is that, me wanting to, then start to share that wisdom with other people. And so I'm kind of that player coach that Jeff talked about. So early on, call it about 8-9 years ago, when I really first entered into the online learning arena, I was doing well as a coach and a consultant, a one-on-one specialist, working with people one-on-one. And I was struggling a bit with that, meaning I was starting to develop some more content as I was doing workshops and programs in person, along with my consulting and coaching practice. And I was starting to learn a lot more about the world of purpose, having somebody find their life purpose, live their purpose, cultivate it, and bring it out into the world. And so I was doing that sort of in parallel with my coaching practice, and I was getting really excited about it, and felt like after years of doing that work, of helping people in that arena in some in-person workshops, and just, with one-on-one clients, we would start getting into a purpose conversation. I really was starting to feel that pull. But what I was struggling with is how to shift from being that coach and that consultant, that really good facilitator, to really then becoming a teacher and embracing being a teacher, which is a good facilitator, and a teacher can be a good coach, but it meant a different attitude and energy and a different creativity. And so I was really kind of in that struggle of what's the content? How do I create it? And at the same time, I was thinking, wow, do I really want to create workshops that I've got to put people in a room and travel all over the place? And I started thinking, wow, maybe the online arena would be a great place to think about creating these programs and these ideas I have. And so in that struggle and that tension, and still kind of holding my main thing that I was doing, wanting to get to doing more teaching, I actually had the luck and actually the opportunity to meet who I would call my first and best and biggest coaches, mentors in the online learning space. And that's Craig Hamilton and Claire Zammit of Evolving Wisdom. They founded Evolving Wisdom together. They're both great teachers as well as running their business. And I learned a ton from them. They actually invited me. They were a client. I was helping them just with their business. And then they asked me to join the company full time. I came aboard as Chief Development Officer. And they were just so awesome in giving me all the knowledge and information they had about the online learning arena. And they literally took me through kind of their process, what they have been creating and learned all those years as experts from their mentors. And I pretty much got my PhD in online learning with them, how to create transformative experiences in an online setting. That was Claire's passion. And so as I learned more and I eventually left the company, instead of going back to my coaching practice or my consulting practice, I really embraced the online learning arena, being a teacher. And I created my first set of programs. I created the Power of Purpose Global Summit Jeff mentioned. I created and led the Man on Purpose 7-week online course in partnership with the Mankind Project, this really cool global nonprofit. And I created the Conscious Men Summit with Dr. John Gray and Arjuna Ardagh. And then my latest creation that I'm super proud of and happy about is Launch Academy. So I just now feel much more creatively inspired. I still do one-on-one coaching work and all that, but I have so much of my business that's based around group work and teaching and online teaching that it's just awesome. Gives me a lot of flexibility in my life and new streams of income and revenue. So that's just a bit of my journey, just to reflect to you that I've walked in your shoes. I'm still walking in your shoes. And even though I teach people how to launch courses through Launch Academy, I also still teach people in other things like purpose and conscious leadership and all that. So I'm there with you. I'm in it. I feel you. So just know that I kind of bring that wisdom to everything that I share generally. Okay. So we're going to get into the 4 essential elements of creating your successful online course or your successful online learning platform. And the 4 areas that we're going to talk about, and we're going to dive more deeply into, are transformative content. That's for creating a better student learning experience. Talk about enrolling messaging that attracts lots of the right students. Effective and converting marketing, which is what you do and the tactics that you use for filling up your course. And then we're going to talk about engagement-oriented technology. And that's to increase connection, motivation, and the transformative experience for your students. Because there's lots of technology out there. You want to kind of think about the ones that create greater engagement, that are easier for you to use, and all within a budget that works for you too, which we'll talk about when we get to that section. All right, transformative content. So excited about this. Is where I start. This is where I think every teacher should start, is that you really want to think about creating a great experience for your students, to create a transformative experience. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what I mean by that. But in essence, creating transformative content in an online setting is really sharing your teaching content in a way that creates a transformative experience for the student, for the participant. And that means really what's happening is there's a change in beliefs, behaviors, actions that lead to a new way of being. Right? So instead of just information, here's the stuff, go and do it. It's like you're really focused on, how do I help them shift something in their life, create something new, change beliefs and behaviors, do some new actions that create more of what they want in their life, what they say they want, what they aspire to, what they desire. So when we look at transformative content, I want to make an important distinction between information and transformation. I mean, it's interesting that the names are so similar, right? Information and then transformation. Basically, information, as you can imagine, is just all of the data and information and the books that we read out there and the videos we watch that we take in and store in our brains, right? It's almost like data points. Oh, I learned that fact. Oh, I got that information. Now, the information can help us to build knowledge. That's important. But information isn't necessarily experience either. It's just information. So in the online learning world, or even in the online marketing world, there's all this stuff called info products, information products. And I've really never liked that term or liked that word, but that's where there's a lot of clutter in the space and a lot of noise in the online learning space, where there's so much information out there and not nearly enough focus on transformation. So transformation is a little different than that. This is about now that there is something that is actually going to change in my life, some possible new way of being that then has nothing to do with the information that I bring in, but more to do with what am I actually doing or shifting, or new beliefs or new thoughts that make the kind of change, that create the kind of change I want. So the metaphor that I have here in the image is perfect. It's the caterpillar to the butterfly metaphor. And your students are coming in essentially as the caterpillar, a certain way of being and where they're struggling in their life now, something that they want, that they don't have, that they would really like to have more of, or have in their life. And then they move actually into the cocoon with you, which is your course experience. And in there is these imaginal cells, and they're shifting, and the whole body is changing. The caterpillar starts to disappear, if you will, as it's transformed through, and in the metaphor here, through what you're teaching, through the steps of your process. So it comes out of the cocoon as this beautiful butterfly. And then that's now a new way of being, something that's changed, where now people feel like, wow, that was really worth my time, energy, and effort, because I got here now. And that's what can make the whole shift in the way students come out feeling like raving fans of your work and really fired up, versus, the kind of meh. So transformative learning is 3 fundamental pieces, keeping it super simple for you. And it's just the framework for you to think about, how do I shape my course outline, my content? You absolutely need concepts. You need your teaching concepts. You have a certain knowledge, experience, and wisdom that you need to share as the concept. For example, I'm sharing you this 4 essential elements. That's my words for concepts around how to build an effective, powerful online course. And I'm telling you certain concepts. And then you need to also embed it with practices. So when you're in your course, so like I'm in a webinar now, I wouldn't necessarily dive into practices, but if you were in my course, then there would be homework, there would be assignments, there'd be practices, so that they can embed the learning. This is where the info products fall down, is now you want to give them something to do each module, each week, that they embed the learning. And then it doesn't even end there. It's the ideal transformative learning experience is also to have a learning community. So you're learning the concepts, you're doing the practices, and then you're able to share and those practices and what you've learned with the community of learners. And you're also learning from them. They're sharing things out or sharing their wisdom either on live calls or on the Facebook page or whatever. And all of a sudden, the teacher doesn't have to do as much work because people are bringing great ideas and value to other students in the program. So, and this, this works more or less for courses where there's some interaction with you, there's some live calls that you have. So I know that some online programs are just fully boxed, meaning the video, the workbook, there's no access to the teacher or other students. And I find those to be on the border of not quite a transformative learning experience, although it may still be a very valuable online course experience. So that's what you're going to be putting into play. And so we're going to now talk about what are the 3 components for creating that transformative experience in your online course. And so the first is to have a step-by-step process to help people make the shift or the change that they want in their lives to move essentially from A to B in their life. Point A is sort of where they are, and there's maybe some struggle, challenge, there's a problem that they would like to solve, and then B is kind of what they hope for or they aspire to. And sometimes they don't always know that, and you as a teacher might actually be able to paint that for them a little bit. So in your course, the actual modules of your course, you think of them as steps. So module 1 is step 1, module 2 is step 2, and that you're working to make sure that people are working through steps that make sense. Step 1 needs to lead to step 2. You need to do the work in step 2 before getting to step 3 so that they're all connected. So that's why you want to think when you're creating your course outline and making sure that it feels like a transformative experience, make sure that they're making those little shifts, almost like mini transformative shifts after each module. So whether you have a 5-week or a 5-module, 6-module, 7-module course, you just want to make sure that they're all connected and that they point toward that end state that you'd like the student to have. And then the second key component in this process of developing the course as a transformative experience is it is critical to provide clear teaching concepts for your participants and, big and here, and give them the why of that concept or that specific step. So you'll have some teaching concepts or pieces for each step and keep it simple, keep it clean. In an online course, you're probably only going to have the attention of 30 to 60 minutes of pure teaching, either doing it live or in a series of videos. So you don't have a lot of time to sort of unpack lots of stuff. And if you can keep it to 1 or 2 key concepts per module max, that's perfect. And then giving them the why as you're teaching it or talking about it is so important to hook the student's brain into understanding, oh, that's why we're doing this. Now I'm more likely to stay motivated to do it. And they're more likely to move through the course when they keep understanding the why of that particular concept. And then from that concept piece and from what you're teaching, those principles, concepts, the wisdom that you have to share, now you want to embed that learning, those concepts into practice and then engagement with others. So that's the dialogue with other learners, going through the same process with you, dialogue with you as teacher on live calls. And so the key thing is that you're going to be setting specific practices, call them homework assignments if you want. I really like to think of the practices as much more of active. They're embodied, they're active. So you might have people journaling on something or interview 3 people about how they see you or what do you think my purpose is? Give me the feedback. Have them doing something engaged with their colleagues, family members, others. And it could be as simple as here's the thing, you need to fill out this form or complete your teaching vision statement, or your curriculum roadmap. So there's some assignments that are kind of practice, but they're more assignments. So there's a blend there. But the key is you're having them do something with the work so that they can move it forward. And then you're having them engage with other people in the course, either through the discussion forums, through responding to questions, Facebook page. You're encouraging that because they're going to learn, they're going to keep learning from each other, not just from you. So let's dive a little bit into the practices and community piece. I've kind of already hit on the core practices. I encourage you to have no more than maybe 2 sort of core practices for each module. You might have some sub-assignments that I wouldn't call practice, and that's fine. You just don't want to overload your students with so many things that they just can't accomplish it in a given period of time, or they feel overwhelmed. So again, I mentioned is, stuff they do back in their life, practices with their family and friends, with colleagues. And so now they're starting to embed the learning more and getting results immediately, like feedback. And then the other key thing that I learned this from Claire. She was great about every course and program she created. She had a single reflection question for the module. And it related to the content in the module, the concepts, it might have related to the practice. And a reflection question is a question that you give to the whole group where everybody is going to respond to it, either in the private Facebook page or the discussion forum. And they all have their own unique answer to the same question. And boy, does it really help people dive in and learn for themselves, but also to see what other people said. Really powerful. And so the reflection questions can help people take it deeper, and it creates more of an energized group field with the rest of the students. The default question there is something like, so what did you learn from the practice this week? How was that? Was it challenging for you in any way? Or what was inspiring about it? See what I'm saying? Just very simple, but you would want to maybe craft a question a little bit more specific to the content for that particular module or week. The final piece is that if you do have a live online course that you're running with a start date and an end date, the cohort is sort of going through together, then you're probably going to have a weekly call. It's going to be on Zoom or Maestro Conference or Instant Teleseminar or some other platform. And then you want them to share out. So let's hear from a few people. What you learned from this last week, blah, 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 blah. Some technologies, you can actually break people into breakout groups. And so you want to think about those technologies that are part of the engagement-oriented piece that I was talking about. Maestro Conference has this amazing breakout functionality. Zoom now has breakout functionality too. And then you just take shares live with whoever's on the call. And then that's transformative content. Those are the basic building blocks for you there. It's actually pretty simple when you look at your content to weave in these pieces, and it makes a huge difference. So now enrolling messaging. So here we go. So enrolling messaging is really, put simply, is the authentic words you use to describe your online learning program. And here's the trick: from the view of your ideal student, or from the view of the transformational experience that your ideal student may have. I know that's a mouthful, but in essence, enrolling messaging is as you start to fine tune your course content, and in a moment we'll talk about looking at your ideal student, you actually need to begin to write words that describe your free preview event, your webinar, and your masterclass, that also describes your course in a way that is powerful and enrolling. And enrolling just is a word that I've used, and you might have heard this word too. It's just when you write things, people read it and go, wow, I like what that person just gets me. And I'm really feeling drawn to wanting to learn more or take the next step or join the course. That is the enrolling quality. So that's what we want to focus on when we start the process toward more of the marketing tactics, is we need to make sure that your messaging about your program, your course, your content is really clear and powerful. And the way we do that, the first way, and it's counterintuitive to a lot of people as I introduce this, is a lot of people just want to create their content. They want to get it really good, have all their modules set perfect, and then it's this idea of build it and they will come, right? I'm just going to build it and then I'll throw it out there and see what happens. I'm sure there'll be lots of people. And what happens is the build it and they will come model generally doesn't work very well, because the missing piece in this process is for you to actually begin with discovering who your ideal student is for your course. And we call that, or I call that, other people call it in the online learning space or online marketing space, your avatar. Other words that you might hear for it is the persona for your course. Some people use target market. I hate that term, but these are other marketing terms to kind of focus in on who is that especially for audience. And we call it your avatar, where it's actually a profile, a deep and intimate profile of the student who is likely to have the best experience in your course. So it's, in essence, it's your ideal student, but you're beginning to unpack what makes that ideal student tick. What are they thinking about? What are their fears, frustrations, hopes, wants, desires? Like you want to pull that all out. So it takes a little bit of investigation. It's not hard to do. A lot of it you can do in your own head or your own mind. But what you begin with is you begin to look at, how do I go about uncovering this avatar profile? The way I like to teach this is that if you've had any interaction with a student or somebody that's been to a seminar with you or a workshop or a coaching client, anybody that's experienced you and what you hope to teach, think about somebody who really got a lot out of it and who really gave you big praise. They're like, oh my God, that was so amazing. That helped me so much. That is a great starting point for your avatar. And then what you do is you build a little bit of a more robust and wider profile around that person. So let's say that person is Susan. So Susan is the starting point for building your avatar profile. And with Susan, you literally, the best place to start is to just unpack who Susan is. And then later you can add more to it. And that is looking at Susan's demographics, age, gender, education, income, activities, location, where she lives. Psychographics are just kind of a little bit deeper, more psychologically oriented than demographics, which is what has her attention right now? What is most pressing? What is she most worried about? And this is all conscious. What are her conscious thoughts about what's happening in her life now? And I would say the best question is sort of what's most important or most up for her right now. And so you might, just like you have here, you might actually just have a few bullet points of each of those. So you start building this profile out. And then we get into a little bit more of that deeper, intimate terrain. And a lot of this might just be from your own experience of Susan, or a client like Susan, or a student like Susan. And that's where you can kind of go, oh yeah, I bet she's feeling that way, or I bet she has this. And you could go back and actually interview Susan and go through this process. So we want to look at Susan's fears and frustrations. I call this side the kind of, with quotations, the sort of dark side of our human nature, the darker side. Those places where we're tight, stuck, fearful, frustrated. And then this helps paint that sort of dark side. So it might be some fears of being completely broke, or die a life with regrets that I didn't live more fully into my purpose. I can't speak my truth. I don't know how to connect. A lot of the frustrations are more the things that we come up against that create that tension and energy of like, so I don't know how to do this, and I don't know how to make that happen, and I can't do this, and why is this happening to me, that kind of stuff. So if we unpack, again, a few items of each of these that relate to Susan and somebody like Susan, now we're starting to build a bigger picture, or a more sharper picture. And then on the light side of our human nature are our aspirations, what we aspire to and how we want to contribute in the world. And then what are our wants and desires? So the aspirations I tend to call the being, or the be words. And I'll tell you that in a moment, like be confident, be authentic, be more free, powerful, be happy. And then the havings or the havingness is the sense of purpose, or a committed relationship, or, whatever it might relate to your content. You'll know more clearly, what does somebody aspire to around what you're teaching? What do they want around what you're teaching? And so this is the start. It's a simple, just journaling piece of paper. You create a little document and just start capturing this information. I mean, you could do this in a half hour or an hour. In Launch Academy, I encourage people to actually do at least 5 interviews with potential avatars. And that just gets them more into really learning more deeply rather than just in their own mind. And so you could also take that on as well. And then once you've built the profile, now you're ready to put that together and put that information, that knowledge to use in creating what I call the authentic messaging blueprint. And this blueprint, this one page, is literally the flow of the conversation that you'll have with your avatar as a way of encouraging them, inviting them into your course. So this becomes the core messaging, where you add more color to it, more language. You from one sentence, you might add 2 or 3 sentences to the aspiration, but it becomes the core, and it drives all of the stuff that you'll write, which is not that much. It's the course information page, your webinar registration page, and your emails. And then when you have this, it makes it so much easier and more clear. And when people read a page where this is done well, you can feel it. You can actually feel the difference. And that's a big difference between somebody following this process and then writing their course information page and somebody who hasn't. The difference might be that person gets 50 people in their course and this other person gets 12. That's kind of where the difference of this having this messaging blueprint makes. So I'm going to guide you quickly through this. This is the conversation you're having with your avatar. So you've now done the work of fears and frustrations. You've done the work of aspirations, and you've done the work also of the wants that they want, the wants or desires. So you begin with this. It's literally a Dear Avatar letter. Dear Susan, I know that you aspire to fill in the blank. Since I know it so well, I'll use my purpose arena to kind of show you a little bit. So if Susan was interested in really diving into discovering her purpose and living her purpose out in the world, then it might be something like this, is that, Susan, I know you aspire to be just, living a meaningful life where you're feeling like you're alive and connected and really making a difference in the world, that you feel empowered and excited about getting out of bed every day. So that, I'm painting some color there, but most of the aspiration is around greater meaning, contribution, making a difference in the world, and feeling alive, lit up, excited about life, passionate. That's certainly what purpose, those that are aspiring to that feel like if they're on purpose, they're going to live more of that kind of life. And so, dear Susan, now that's your aspiration, but the problem is that you are feeling listless, demotivated, maybe rudderless in your life, a sense that there isn't meaning and that you're just kind of going through the motions in life and that it's a struggle and that you're not happy and you're not lit up, and then I'm just riffing off this, you would write it more clearly or relative to your content, but then I've painted the picture of what the challenge is, the symptoms, if you will, of what's going on in their life. And then the thing that's so brilliant that I've learned from my mentors is, instead of it just being the problem solution, that classic marketing thing, problem solution, I really love this flow of the conversation of aspiration, problem, diagnosis, and then solution. And so the diagnosis is just simply, why is this problem happening? So why is Susan listless, rudderless, frustrated, living in kind of a fog, because just doesn't feel lit up in life? Well, what I say in my diagnosis on this is that she's living a default life. She's living the default life. And the default life means the culture is telling her to live a certain way of what success is, and that there isn't room for her purpose in that. Or maybe it's just a little side thing. So diagnosis is really getting underneath, why is the problem happening? And it is the aha moment in your copy for a lot of people reading it. Like, ooh, got it. He nailed me. She nailed me. That's it. And now they're really ready to listen then and ready for the solution. And the solution now, I call it your uniquely branded solution. That is your course. Your solution is the whole course. And the steps, all the steps in the course, the 5 steps, 6 steps, 7 steps, they go through that. They move from point A in their life to point B. There is some transformation that happens. And now they're much more open and ready and available and actually claiming what they really wanted and what they aspired to. And we call that the desired future state. And the desired future state is painting a lot of those being statements of, I'm feeling more free and confident, ready to take on the world with my purpose, all that. And then the final piece is the promise. And that the promise is your statement or your commitment to the avatar, to Susan, to her getting the full experience of moving from here to here in their life, of making that transformation, that from A to B. That from statement to statement, from listless and disconnected to alive and purposeful. So that I am committed to helping people get that in their lives. That would be my promise to bring to the course. That's the conversation you're having, this flow. And the authentic messaging blueprint is actually, once you've done some of the avatar work and you've gotten really clear, it sometimes comes pretty easily. And the diagnosis might take a little bit of time because it takes sometimes a little bit of thinking. but that's what you can apply now to your messaging for your course. So here we go. So we're going to dive into the effective and converting marketing. And this one is a lot more practical. The other stuff I would say is a lot of the creative, and that's fine, right? The transformative content for your course, the messaging to speak to the right people with the right message. That's a lot of the creative side. And now we're moving a little bit more to the left brain and a little bit more of the practical and tactical side. So the marketing in the online learning field is really about attracting the right participants to your program so they have a good experience and they're ready to pay for it. And that you're able to convert them into being a purchaser of the program so that they're ready, willing, and able. And then you've done the great job of presenting your course in a way they say, yes, I'm in, I'm buying. So that's our focus for the converting marketing. And the starting point for our conversation here is just I want to share kind of the two keys to what we look at in online marketing and what's most important. It really boils down to these two things: traffic and conversion. And I know it might sound a little technical and wonky, but it's super simple. Traffic is just the tools and the things out there where people can be pointed to a specific action or pointed to a specific web page where then they are offered an action to take. So what I mean by traffic is like emails that get sent to you, social media posts, web advertising, things where you see something and you're now clicking on something, and that the more that we can create traffic and the more you can increase your traffic over time, then the more likely you're to create more and more opportunities for people to convert to the next step. So traffic is just all that stuff, emails and postings and stuff that get people then to your page. And then once they land on your webinar page, or you've got a free ebook page or whatever, that now you have a job with your copy and your offer and your course to convert them. And all conversion means is somebody is taking a next step with you. That next act, they're taking action to take a next step. So an example of conversion is I send you an email and it has it's about my ebook. You can download my free ebook. I tell you a little bit about it. You click on that link in the email, and that's the first conversion. I said enough that got them curious. They clicked over, and now they're on the page to download, to put their email address in to download the ebook. Now they have another opportunity to make a next step, and that would be a conversion if they put their email in. Now they've converted to getting your ebook. And that's just how the world works in the online marketing world, is then you're looking for these natural next steps to move people then toward, oh, well, this feels natural then to purchase your course because I've already learned a bit about you and got a sense of you through these other pieces. So just file that away, is that you're going to be thinking about, as you look to launch your course, what is the traffic that I'm generating? And everybody starts wherever they're at. And then how am I doing with converting people and shifting people over to the course? So now that you have that lay of the land, let's talk about the 3 simple marketing strategies to fill up your course. And I've really broken them down into 3. I think really the first one, strategy number 1 here, is the most important by far. And then 2 and 3 are good and important, but this is the one that makes the difference, especially for new course creators, those just getting started, is strategy 1 is to use partners to get the word out. Use partners to get the word out. What I mean by partner is anybody, not even in your network, anybody out there that has their own following, that has their own email list, that has social media followers, who might be a teacher, an expert, or something of their own right, a podcaster, a blogger. All of those people out there that have some following, even if it's small, even if it's 400 people or 200 people or 1,000 people, they can become a potential partner for you. So potential partners are literally everywhere. This is not some like mystery and how do I find partners? They're in your network. They're already in your network. And we use other names that you might hear. So I'm going to give you some of those other names, like JV partner means joint venture partner, affiliate partner, affiliate marketing partner, all mean the same thing. It's 2 people coming together to see how they can support each other with whatever offerings they have. So you want to think about mutuality with your partners. So if you're approaching somebody to let them know that you're going to be launching an online course, would you support me in this and send something out about my free webinar to your list? Sure, happy to do that, Chris. Oh, I have a book coming out in 2 months. Would you be willing to send something out to your community about my book? Yes, absolutely. So that partnering is really powerful. And one of the best things is it's totally free. It costs you nothing to create those partnerships other than your time, other than time doing it. And many of these partners, as you build the relationships with them, that's just start as more, hey, we're going to help each other out. Some of them can be partners for life, or you go deeper and deeper with the partnership. So one of the things in Launch Academy that we ask participants to do is just start making a list, like just a list. You don't have to do anything. You don't even have to call anybody. Just start thinking about teachers and bloggers and colleagues and people in your own network that you think would help you out, that have some kind of following. So that's number one. And it's actually pretty easy when you have like a template of what kind of email should I send to a potential partner? What should I say on the phone? Those are some of the kinds of templates that we use in Launch Academy to help people approach their partners. Strategy 2, pretty simple, gonna be pretty basic here, but use your social media. Wow, shocking, Chris, but it's true. I mean, you wanna use your social media, and you also wanna ask your partners to use their social media. So your partners may send out an email for you, which is always the best way to get the message out to their community. And then secondarily, they might make Facebook posts or tweets or whatever. So you wanna use that as part of your campaign. When you're ready to launch your course, you're going to have your partners, you're going to have emails that'll be going out, and then you'll have a whole series of posts that will be related to your course, right? The first set of posts will be related more to your free offerings, like your free webinar, but then that guides them more and more toward your course. So you want to post the free content offerings. You want to keep consistent with your posts, maybe like every other day for a few weeks leading up to your course. And then it's best if you can post things that people really want to share. It's not always easy to figure that out, but a really short, interesting video or a really powerful quote in a beautiful image, things that people want to pass on and share to kind of get the message out. And then, of course, that should all relate to the content you're teaching, so there's some connection there. So that's leveraging social media. You'll have a little mini social media campaign along with other stuff that you'll be doing, along with your partner campaign as well. And then the third strategy, the third simple strategy, is find speaking gigs. Some of you might be saying, that's a little harder than you're just saying that, Chris. Getting out there and trying to find speaking gigs. I don't mean the big ones where they're paying you. What I'm saying is find free speaking gigs where you get to talk about your content, you get to show your wisdom and insight and expertise on any number of growing areas that you can speak. And it's getting more and more and more and more opportunities to find ways to speak. Podcasts are like going crazy. Online summits, other online events, multi-speaker events, even in person. Maybe you get on somebody's doing a day long and they want you to speak for half an hour on your content. Do that. And then start with your network to find it, right? So just, again, leverage your own network to put yourself out there and share that you have this content and you're looking for ways to speak about it for free. And then you also, for this, want to reach out to like-minded teachers and experts. Some people feel a little like, if they're too much into my same space, that feels uncomfortable. And I say, no, that's the perfect place to either find a partner or find somebody that could help you with speaking on something they have. And I do that all the time. I run into people and they say, oh, I've got this podcast. Hey, I talk about creating online courses, but I also talk about finding your purpose. Oh yeah, I could bring you in for that. So it's just fun. And then of course, if you've got something free to share, and we'll talk about that in a moment, then you can share something very simple, a very short ebook or an audio or a video interview that when you're on those speaking engagements, you can give a link to where people can download something from you, and then you collect their email address. So you're building your list, and now you're also creating more exposure for your content, for your course. So those are the three simple marketing strategies. We're We're now going to wrap up the marketing piece with what I call it's also very simple, your 3-part marketing funnel. Pretty much everybody I know that creates a course, and it's the model that I teach, is we at least have you create the 2 second pieces where you create a webinar or a masterclass, whatever the term is. We call it the free preview event because it's previewing you as a teacher, and it's also previewing your course through some content that you're teaching. And then you create your online course, and you have your course page for that. So you have your webinar registration, your course sales page, and that's it. That's all. Those 2 pieces are all you really need to launch a really good, well-crafted course. What I like to add is that if you have some content that you could repurpose, or you feel inspired to write a 10-page ebook or a 2-page blueprint, you can create what we call a lead magnet, which helps you build your list and allows you to have this free gift for wherever you're speaking or talking to people, that you can say, go get my ebook here. And then it's a way of collecting email addresses and introducing people to your content. So that would kind of come even before the webinar. And then people they read your ebook, then they want to do your webinar, and then they'll come into your course. And then by the end of that funnel, you have happy students and happy teacher. So, and of course, when people get more sophisticated in this, there's a lot more to it, but I don't think I have to overcomplicate that this is really the flow that you're creating. So now we're going to wrap up the 4 essential elements before we move on and talk just a bit about you and your online course creation and how Launch Academy can help you to launch your course in a powerful way. I'm also going to share with you the free gift at the end as well, so make sure you stay on for that. So engagement-oriented technology is pretty straightforward here. It's just the specific technologies that you choose, mostly off-the-shelf technologies that allows you to encourage higher engagement between participants and between participants and you as a teacher. So this increases connection, motivation, and fun. And really, ultimately, it's just being aware of what are these different technologies and then choosing the ones that are going to work best for you. So 3 very basic categories for what you need in terms of the the technology for launching an online course. You need some kind of back-end technology, which is just your email marketing database, maybe where people purchase, they can pay by PayPal, so there's a little e-commerce there. And that's what we call all your back-end. Nobody sees that other than you and your assistant and your program coordinator or whatever. And I'll share a little bit more about what programs are in each of these. So like a simple one in email marketing is MailChimp, for example. And then a very sophisticated one is Infusionsoft. And then the front-end technology, why I call it front-end, is it's the technology that interacts with your participants or your students or your followers in some ways. Usually it's what somebody who is paid for something is now interacting with your course materials. They're getting access to the private course website. That needs to be housed somewhere. And in the past, people would just sort of house it on their WordPress site, and that wasn't very efficient. It didn't really work. So there's a number of different programs that can house it and be a membership site, and you can log in and all that stuff, and that's all built into the program. And this is where you put everything that's in your course there. The last category is sort of an optional category. I mean, the first 2 are critical. Category 3 is all the marketing and conversion support technologies. That would be programs that help you create landing pages or certain conversion tools or looking at analytics. All of this is, don't worry about this piece. This is something that you build in over time that you can add later. A lot of these technologies are totally optional in the first phase for you, but I wanted to talk about that. So the best online tech solutions, this is from just being in this biz for 8+ years and talking to a lot of people. There are a lot of programs out there for online learning, online marketing, creating products, but this is kind of my list of the best and the favorite at different budget levels. So low budget solution for the back end and front end. Don't worry too much about the marketing piece, but it could be as simple as Constant Contact and Access Ally. That's it. That's where I'm telling you, when people talk about the confusion of technology, like, okay, I need to have my email and I need to have a place where I can, house my course. And if you use something like Access Ally or even Teachable, they have the whole payment side of it covered. So even if Constant Contact doesn't have the e-commerce or something, that some of these other platforms where you house your course can cover the fact that you can have the checkout cart and the payments all done by the front end technology. So one of the low budget solutions I've seen often is Constant Contact with like Rizuku, or maybe even Access Ally in its basic level. But I really like the mid budget toward higher budget. I really think the low budget is you're going to run into a lot of problems and challenges trying to make the things work that you need to work with those lower end solutions. There has to be a lot more cobbling together. But in the mid-budget solution, the back-end options are like GetResponse, ActiveCampaign. The front end is Access Ally at its higher level, its pro level version. Teachable is a great platform. And then again, the marketing option, Leadpages or Vimeo or Wistia, which is for video, housing your videos. And I'm not trying to overcomplicate it here. Like you could, again, just have GetResponse and Teachable, and that's all you would need to be able to deliver your course in a good way. Like even GetResponse has a section about creating landing pages inside GetResponse. So you wouldn't have to go do that on your WordPress site or somewhere else. You just do it inside GetResponse. And then the higher budget solution, so like mid-budget solution, you might spend anywhere from $150 a month to $250 a month, which is certainly worth it because that's what you'll need to have people pay for your program and have a good experience. The higher end budget could be anywhere more from like from $250 to $350 or $400. So the 800-pound gorillas in the whole like e-learning space and online marketing space, at least for small business owners and for teachers and all that, is Ontraport and Infusionsoft. I'm currently using Infusionsoft. Jeff uses Infusionsoft. I've used Ontraport in the past. They're great programs. They take a little bit more to learn, but there's a lot of support and resources there. The front-end technologies that are additional to Access Ally or Teachable is Kajabi or Memberium. And so if I were to leave you with two options here, if you want that mid-budget, I would say GetResponse and Access Ally. And if you wanted more of the higher-end budget, either Infusionsoft or Ontraport with, I would actually say Access Ally again, or maybe Memberium. That's it. So those are your tech options. And so what I'd like to kind of wrap this whole 4 essential elements piece up before we explore Launch Academy and how that can help you launch your courses. I just want to do a quick ping on the mindset. And your mindset as a teacher moving into the online learning space and a global audience, you really want to start with your why. You want to make sure your why is super clear to you. That means understanding what's your mission around your teaching, what is your teaching vision even. And that once you're really grounded in that, then it's a lot easier to be able to describe what you're about, who you're committed to, and how to describe and talk about your course, because it comes from that deeper grounding of the why. Also, deeply know who you're serving and begin there with the creation of your online course curriculum. Instead of thinking about what you think is great or cool, really understand who you're serving and what their needs and wants are. That's going deep into your avatar, into your ideal student, all that. I'm a huge supporter of this, which is stay authentic to your message and then build in the marketing savvy and approaches on top of that, not in place of it. Be authentic, share, speak your words and write your words in a way that just reflect you and reflect what you're about. And here's what I think this course can do for you, rather than some kind of watered down version that somebody's saying, hey, you should say it this way. And then finally, in mindset, for any person that's wanting to move into a new realm or to grow in their business or expand what they're doing, get support. Find the mentors and coaches, find the programs and systems that can help you along the path. I remember this a bunch of years ago, there was an article out about Tiger Woods, and Tiger Woods, when he was at the height of his, golf prowess, he had 6 coaches. Here's the best golfer in the world with 6 coaches, because he knew he needed support in specific parts of his game and the inner game, the outer game. So I encourage you to get the support, and possibly Launch Academy and my being a mentor and coach for you is the support that will work for you. So the question I hear time and time again from teachers, authors, experts, entrepreneurs thinking about going into the online learning space is, hey, Chris, isn't it just way too crowded, too cluttered in the online learning space for me to make a successful go at launching a course? My answer to that is it is not too crowded or too cluttered for those that have a commitment and a passion for their teaching, clarity in how they're talking about it, and really putting together a good experience. Because there's so much junk out there that if you create a good transformative experience, not saying everybody will have the same level of experience through your course, but your A students and your B students will, is that yes, you should dive in. That there always will be a space for you to find your audience, your following, people that connect with you. And so we try not to project out that it's, oh, I shouldn't because it's too crowded. That's kind of a red herring of like, oh, then I won't bother. Because I think there's always the space for great teachers. And great teachers, I'm going to tell you a story about a teacher who I think is an awesome teacher and an awesome person, an awesome woman, and that's Deepika. And so this might be your story too, or part of what I share will be a little bit resonant with where you are in your life right now. And so Deepika went through Launch Academy, I guess it's 18 months ago now. She lives in Australia, in a small town in southern Australia. So she's not even in Sydney or in Brisbane or any place like that. And she really was excited about starting to explore the online learning arena for her work with women and women's health and wellness. She's an Ayurvedic practitioner. She's a consultant and had a one-on-one practice for many years working in a clinic. And then she started building her expertise and doing workshops and speaking for an hour here and there. And she really realized she had some wisdom and some important things to share. And so she took the leap and joined Launch Academy and realized she needed the support, she needed the help and the guidance. And more than anything, she needed a system, a step-by-step approach to building her course. And so coming out, she did all great work and a lot of great creative work. Coming out of the course, she created the Radiant Woman 7-week online course. And it's really about helping women, it's a course for women, to create vitality and more joy and abundance in the second half of life. So menopause and postmenopause and beyond, and especially around hormonal changes and all that. So she decided to launch a pilot course, which is just, hey, take the pressure off. If I get 15 people, that's great. I'm not going to go to a bunch of partners right now. I'll do that later. And she was hoping for 15 people in her course. She launched her pilot course, small list of her own, a few partners, and she had 45 people sign up for her course at $297 per person. And she made almost $14,000 in a pilot launch of her course. Other students in Launch Academy, which I'll share a little bit, have had even, bigger results, but they also didn't do it as a pilot. They got more partners and they also had an amazing result. But I thought this was just really powerful because she just went for it. She was totally a technological Luddite. She just said, I'm doing it. I'm going to go through the process and I'm going to launch it. And she had a great result. And she's now super excited to launch as an official, full-on, lots of partner launch. And she's getting ready to do that. So that's Deepika. And so for you, to kind of bring it back to you, maybe you related to her story, but I know from all my work with teachers and authors and experts and people just like you is that I know that you aspire to reach a bigger audience with your expertise, your content, your teaching, and to have a bigger impact on those students that come to see you. And all the while that you're able to make more money and add another revenue stream to your business so your life and your business is more sustainable. So that's what I call, broader reach, deeper impact, and making money doing it from your teaching. And, I'm actually going to model a little bit. You're probably already experiencing that I intentionally want to model what I shared with you in the Authentic Messaging Blueprint so you can feel it. So if you're resonating with this, then boom, you're in it. I'm calling out what I see from all my experience. And so that's what you aspire to. The problem is for most potential course creators is that the whole process of creating and launching a well-crafted course can be overwhelming, daunting, and literally confusing. The phrase that I hear a lot is, then where the heck do I even start to do this? And the deep problem that I see time and time again that saddens me is that most teachers really give up before they even start. They just kind of look at the whole thing and go, too much, done, I'm out. And that's sad, and it's a problem because I see some really great teachers out there that could benefit by being online and attract students from all over the world, and they just haven't stepped through that. So why this is happening is because and it's not necessarily your fault if you can't necessarily find it, but you haven't really yet applied a proven system or a blueprint that works for creating and launching a successful online course. And then without this, you're essentially just winging it. And that's what a lot of teachers that just kind of go for it, I see, is they read something or they try a few things, they do trial and error, they make mistakes, and they kind of bounce around and do something different or get rid of that course. And what that all comes down to is it's costly and time consuming. And I went through this. I went through a period of this too, until I was really got the model straight and found the formula and the proven system to help me navigate it. And so now the solution is, or what's the way out of that, is to follow a proven system, a way of moving step by step through the course creation process. And then I'd say part of it is also then be willing as a teacher yourself to be a student again and to learn this process, to learn this structure, so that you can just you don't have to worry about it. You just get to be a good learner, a good student. And that investing in you and investing in the coaching and mentoring is really key, that you can then create the course the right way out of the gate, that it's really powerful and lucrative for you rather than all that trial and error. And so now what I'm excited to share with you is you've kind of feel into that flow. That was a bit of the messaging blueprint. And now I'd love to share with you, my program that will help you do exactly that, which will help you move through a structure and a system that's really clear, and it's simple enough that you can create your online course and start your journey on being an online teacher. And so I'd love to share with you a little bit more about Launch Academy right now. And for those of you that are online, and I hope you're all in front of your computer, you can go right now to the course information page, launchacademycourse.com, and kind of follow along with me. I'm just going to pop in there and show you, what you're going to learn, what I teach in there, and what you get, and then talk a little bit about the potential of you joining Launch Academy this year. I do only run Launch Academy once a year, so I'm just really excited about who's going to be the cohort this year, and it may be one of you. So let's go into so if you can type that in, Jeff, too, into the chat, just so it's there. I'm going to go out of the presentation. And so again, launchacademycourse.com. And then I'm just going to go ahead and show you a little bit again about how the technology works well here. Hello, here's my face again. How are you? I'm going to do a screen share now other than the presentation, and we're going to go into the course website. And here we go. And just pulling that up, it's going to full screen right now and sharing with you. All right. So you are here. Hopefully you're here on your own. I mean, you probably have the window up, so you can either see it in the window here for the webinar, or you have it up in front of you. I would suggest kind of following along with me, but at least you have it up if you want to reference it later after the call. It's there. But just stay within the webinar window and I'll guide you through it. So so Launch Academy has some of my core messaging, as you see right up at the top. Part of my simple purpose message is that I want to support people in lighting up the world with their message, mostly through online learning, but through other forms and other ways. But Launch Academy is really committed to helping you light up the world with your message, create and launch online courses to increase your reach, impact, and income. And as you scroll down the page, you'll see that I'm using my authentic messaging blueprint to actually unfold again some of the aspiration. You'll see the problem there. You'll see some of the language I've already shared with you. It's made its way here into my page. I encourage you to check out the section that I haven't spent a lot of time on, is why is having an online course or offering online courses critical to your success as a teacher, as an expert, as an author even. And so that'll help you to understand a little bit more of, this space is growing and I might as well start and jump in now. I've shared Deepika's story with you. I'll share another first-time course creator story with you, and that's Christina. And Christina is a teacher and an author and a healer. She also is interested in modern shamanism, or bringing shamanistic practices into a modern context. And she created a course called Energy Body Mastery, looking at the energy body and how to work with it. And she didn't do a pilot like Deepika. She actually lined up a bunch of partners that she found, and did a great job with her course page and her webinar. And she went through the launch sequence, the campaign that I teach, and she got 220 people in her course from over 20 countries and generated revenue just in her first course. This is the only course she has ever done. It's her first time, generated $65,000. And she's over the moon. She's super excited. I mean, a little bit shocked, like, oh my God. But she's the real deal teacher, and she was very authentic in her messaging and how she wrote about her course. And I think people really resonated with that. And she had some good partners that she lined up too. And so that's just a kind of a flavor of somebody that's coming into Launch Academy and some of the, the success story. But in a nutshell, Launch Academy is a 4-month, highly interactive online training program. It's live with me as your core teacher and facilitator. It's also going to have a set of expert faculty, including Jeff. And it's literally set up as a proven system or flow of what you need to do, the step-by-step process to launch your first or another online course if you want to do it in a different way than you did it the previous time. So Launch Academy is a community of people coming together to do this. And I'll be your guide. We have a ton of resources. We, as I said, have the expert faculty. You can read more here about some of the components of it. Here is the 4 essential elements. And so we go much deeper with each of these. I've kind of given you an overview, but we also look at list building and how do you share your message? What are some of the key ways to craft a course that people really resonate with? So let's dive into what you're going to learn. I mean, first of all, you're going to be learning this in a community. So it's not just a static course that you're going to take and doing it on your own. You're going to be with other like-minded people, like-minded teachers, and you're going to go through the experience together. And it's awesome because you learn from each other. You may create deeper friendships. And maybe most importantly is you will come out and possibly partnering with each other in your programs. So now we're going to just take a quick look. I want you to get a feeling for how I've created the steps and created a really clear sort of approach and roadmap of what you're going to learn. So over the 4 months, we go through 8 modules. So it's 2 modules a month. You have plenty of time to kind of do the work. If you've got a busy life, it's not like I'm cramming this into 8 weeks, because I think that would be too hard to just try to do this all and have a good experience in 8 weeks. So we spread it out a bit. So you're going to create your customized launch roadmap as sort of the ground in the first step, really looking at your teaching vision and your curriculum roadmap. And then from there, we've talked about this, but you go right into starting first with looking at your avatar. Who is that especially for ideal student that will get the most out of your course, that especially for audience? And we go a little deeper in how to do that, talk about the best way to interview potential avatars or potential ideal students. And then from there, the natural next step is now you're ready to start looking at designing or completing your authentic messaging blueprint from all of that learning. And then now you have your roadmap of how all of your copy and your messaging is going to play out in the various places where you need to have it, meaning your web pages as well as your email. So module 4 is just that, where you start the writing of your marketing plan and the writing of your copy that will make its way onto your various pages, which that's module 5. You said we start building your visuals and your course pages, and you marry that to your copy and your messaging. It's the process is when you're in the creative process, there's a simplicity to it, but it doesn't mean that there isn't a creative churn. So I love this part of the course in module 4 and 5, and even into 6, where there's a lot of juicy creativity, and it's just kind of fun to see it unfolding, and it gets clearer and clearer. So I just see a lot of aha moments as people move through 4, 5, and 6. And in 6, we focus on that powerful free preview event. I use that word because there's so many terms for a free preview event: a masterclass, a webinar, a teleseminar. So it's really your free preview event. And we, like to call it, basically it's your webinar. Module 7, then we take a look at the left brain side of things, and we talk about how you manage the launch campaign. So going through step by step of, the 3 weeks before you have, your webinar, and then you have, the campaign that you're going to do leading up to the start of your course. And I have that all set up for you in the sequences and a master dashboard that you can work with. So it's all pretty turnkey for you. And then module 8 is delivering your course content. Like, what does that take? Actually putting it up on the site, the platform that you're going to use, and inviting people to go log in and register, and then they're starting into your course. And then the follow-up plan too from there, the feedback from the participants is all part of that, the full cycle. So those are the 8 modules of what you're going to learn. It's really rich. And just to remind you that when you go through this at Launch Academy, is that you've got resources at each module that are both on the website, videos, and documents and templates and all that. And you have me guiding you in live calls all the way through it. And so that's what we're going to dive into now as I move down the page. And let's talk about, what you'll receive, what the experience in the course will be for you, so that you can feel into, oh yeah, wow, I'm really getting the kind of support that I would need to really go through this process. So 8 live group coaching calls and teaching sessions with me, that's 2 a month. And I dive in, I do some real-time coaching with individuals. We do some share outs. Sometimes I facilitate some brainstorming. So students will actually bring other things to other students. Really powerful, really cool. I've had a lot of fun with those, and a lot of great learning has happened in the live calls. And not all courses do that, right? A lot of them just have the kind of preset content that you go through. Then there will be 16 training and tutorial videos. Don't worry, it's not a ton of content. They're basically short videos, 2 for each module, 1 general teaching video, and then a practical tutorial video. So that it's not, again, I walk my own talk. It's not inundating you, but it is these simple videos that move you through the course. The custom course website, that's where we house all the materials, all the videos, interact with other students, get access to the various, Zoom calls and things like that. It's all in the course website. I call it the hub of the course. You'll get a launch toolkit, which is also will be on the website. It's all the templates, documents, copy samples, checklist for each module to guide you through the process, make it simple for you. So we give you a lot of direction. Private Facebook group, which has just been great. It's both for the current participants that'll be going through this year, but also all of the past grads are in there, unless they've dropped out of the group, but you'll have a mix there. And we also encourage you to have an accountability partner, and we pair you up with an accountability buddy during the course. We do that process for you. It's optional. If you don't want that, that's fine. Just, you say you don't want it, but we found it to be very powerful and helpful in the process. So I'm super excited. So that's the core piece of the core program. Those are the things that you get to really make sure that you're creating and launching a great course. We also have these amazing bonuses to support you. And the biggest one that I love, and that's really why I called it Launch Academy, is I wanted other experts and teachers besides just me. I wanted a faculty. And so you are going to get 6 expert faculty sessions, huge value, in teaching their expertise on a whole variety of topics that relate to the whole online learning world and supporting the growth of your business and the growth of your community. So you're going to learn more about list building and lead magnets and copywriting, speaking, podcasting, and publishing. So a great group of people, really cool people, and you'll be getting those sessions. If you join Launch Academy, those will be throughout the 4 months of the course, and they'll all be recorded. So everything in the course that you experience will be recorded. So if you can't make anything live, you won't miss a thing. 2 tickets to our 2-day Launch Now retreat. I'm super excited about this. It'll be in early August, toward the end of the course, San Francisco Bay Area. We will do some creative work, some masterminding, small group activities, and bottom line, just to create inspiration, have lots of fun and connection with each other. Because, with the online world, it's a little bit sometimes disconnecting, even using Zoom or some other video technology. So this is a great way to come together. It's totally optional. It's not required as part of the course, but it's fun to gather. A few other bonuses I'll just tick off here that I think are important to note is we have an online course technology package that can save you a bunch of money using Ontraport and Access Ally. Jeff has generously given 2 bonuses to this program, his ebook bestseller bootcamp course, which is all about how to write your ebook bestseller and get it #1 on Amazon, and then a one-on-one live session with him around self-publishing and what you need to know in that arena. Jeff's been great to offer that. And then I really encourage you to sign up within the next 24 hours. If you feel this is right for you, if you're already feeling the calling, just leap in, dive in. And if you sign up within the next 24 hours, you'll also get this fast action bonus, a special call with me called the Global Messenger Mindset Call. It'll be a Zoom call. I'm going to do some laser coaching. We're going to talk about the inner game of what it takes to move your teaching and your business to the next level. And because a lot of Launch Academy is a lot of the external things that need to happen. So this is going to be a really powerful call, a great jump start for you coming into Launch Academy, because we'll plan to do the call early in the course. So there are 2 options. So what you've seen all above there is really all of the pieces for our core program, the base program. We also are offering, this is new this year, is our Fast Track program. And this is if you want personalized consulting, customized support, a lot more hand-holding, and frankly, a lot more accountability, then I would encourage you to check out the Fast Track. And if you're very busy in your life, you really want to commit to this, but you need some more heavy support or more concerted support, then I would suggest that you choose Fast Track, because you're going to get private coaching sessions with me, 2 sessions with Jeff. So you're going to get 4 sessions with me, 2 sessions with Jeff, and 2 sessions around copywriting with Irene. So really exciting to have kind of the 3 of us really supporting you in your offering. And then really powerful 3 bonuses that I think is really this kind of done for you piece of it. That's what we wanted for Fast Track, to take more off your plate. And so we will actually, my team will do your pages. We'll actually take your copy and some images and create your webinar registration page and your course sales page. And that's a big value. And then the 3 months of Launch Academy Mastermind Group, which will be when the course ends. And then this is brand new this year, that for those in Fast Track, I will personally promote your online course to my list and my social media followers. And so that's in a way, I'm not necessarily your first, but one of your good partners to help you in launching the course and getting the word out. And I'm just excited to support Fast Track folks around that. We're also looking for anybody in the core program. We're probably going to do some cool things of where I email out and list, some what you've done and some success stories and all that. So this is to actually have a dedicated promotion, but I think we're going to do some other things to give some visibility to other people in Launch Academy to my community. So I encourage you, we're coming to the end of our time, so I encourage you to check out the enrollment section on the page. The course starts on May 8th. Encourage you to reserve your seat now. You have 2 options, the core program, which you can get started. You see all of the value there, all of the bonuses, and you can get started today with just $397 to reserve your spot. And then we have a payment plan for you throughout the entire course time. And then you can also save by paying in full. You can save almost $200 paying in full. And then the Fast Track program, which has a lot of personal touch and hand-holding, concierge, if you will, service, $997 today to get started, and then a payment plan over the time in the course, the 4 months in the course. And you can save $500 by paying full. So really making it as much as possible affordable, giving you the payment plan options and all that so that you can just say, I'm in. And I really want to hit that we have an absolutely no risk guarantee. So if you don't feel like you got 3x the value, 3 times the value after taking the course, doing all the work and launching your course, we'll give your money back. We'll refund your tuition. That's how strongly I feel about it. If you follow the process and actually launch your course, you're going to get a good result. And I really want you to get that my commitment is that I want you to think of this as an investment in you, an investment in your business and your teaching. And my hope is that you get the return on investment that you want, and at least a minimal return on investment. So you look at Launch Academy as, I'm investing in this to get this money back. within, a few months after I complete Launch Academy. So as few as 25 participants for a $297 course, you make almost $7,500. That would be almost, for the core program, that would be almost a 3x value right there. So really encourage you to then just read more about the page. If you have any questions, you can, on the page, you see the little chat now. Both Jeff and I are going to be working with the chat. So use that to ask us questions. We can do it real time. But if you want to send an email, you can send an email to chris@chriskyle.com. But we prefer the live chat. It's just a little easier for us to work with you on that. So there you have it. That is I'm going to end my screen share and bring me back online here. I so appreciate you staying on, all of you. We are going to open it now for Q&A. We've completed the masterclass. I'm just going to quickly, while you get your questions ready, I'm going to quickly go back to the presentation to show you my free gift for you. I'm going to start that. So the free gift is going to the next one here. The free gift. Oh, forgot to share this with you. Just what this means for you to be a teacher in the online learning arena. Just more freedom and flexibility, greater ease in staying connected with your community and followers, your ability to offer more programs easily without any expense or very little expense, as in versus in-person workshops. And of course, as I've said already, a sustainable income stream for you, a new one. So that's kind of painting the picture of what's possible for you out there. So my special gift for you, and you'll get this by email after the end of the webinar, and so thank you for showing up, is this very detailed document. And it may be a little much for you, but I'm getting a lot of positive feedback, people saying, thank you, thank you. This is my online learning platform technology guide for all the various technologies out there, for you to see a survey of it, and then I make recommendations of solutions at the end of it. A little bit of a deeper dive of what I shared in the masterclass here. But I think you'll appreciate that to just make sense of the tech landscape around online learning. So why don't we see if you have any questions? I know there's a bunch of you still on the line. I think this evening, there was certainly fewer than our webinar earlier today. But if you have a question, just type it in the chat area. Would love to hear any kind of question as possible about my content, about the course, about Launch Academy, anything that you're particularly struggling with right now around your teaching, or converting it into some other format, like in the online learning format. So just go ahead and input that in there. And if there's no really burning questions, one of the questions that I've had, and that I'll just share because it's come up over the last couple of days, is there's still questions around, even with all this sharing, about what are the technologies that I am going to need to use. And some people say, well, is Launch Academy a technology platform that I'm using? And so let me answer that to be really clear, because that was a question that came earlier today. And so Launch Academy is really a training program that gives you all the pieces of a system that you need to know, including technology. But we're encouraging you to buy the technology off the shelf. We're not you come into Launch Academy and it's all the technology you need. Because I don't want to be a one-stop shop kind of thing. The technology changes so much that each year I get to say, no, this is the best program. Oh my God, you got to use that. So we don't really want to become a technology company. So in Launch Academy, we help you make the decision of what is going to be the best couple of technologies that you're going to need for launching your course. And as I said before, it could be as simple as GetResponse and Access Ally, or Ontraport and Access Ally using our package, where you save a lot of money for the pro version of Ontraport and Access Ally, and that's it. That's all you would need, just those two. And so I just wanted to make that distinction really clear, that we're going to help you find the right technology, but we aren't the technology platform. So questions. So I don't see any questions here. So I'm just going to just do a little refresh and just make sure there aren't any more questions coming in the chat. So kind of this is sort of your last call. If there's any questions go ahead and type them in the chat now. And otherwise, I think I'll just bring Jeff online here with me. And if we don't see any questions coming in, we'll probably just sign out. I'm going to get rid of the presentation here so we can come back live. There you are. Hello, Jeff.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for being here, and my supporter in the background, the host and the space holder for this. So I think we're wrapping up because I don't see any more questions. Do you see anything coming in?
No, I think we're good. So thanks everyone for sticking around till the end. Watch for that gift in your inbox. It's a valuable resource. As Chris said, it might not be exactly what you need today, but down the road it will be really helpful for you. Thanks, Chris. That was great content tonight.
Awesome. Thank you.
And enjoy your evening, and everyone, enjoy your evening, enjoy your morning, wherever you are. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jeff. See you down the road.